Good morning, Year 10. So we're just going to run through a couple of things. Last lesson you were looking at weathering at the coast. So if we put down here, coasts. Now there are two things that people often get mixed up. Weathering is when rock at the coast is broken up into little pieces, and that can be physically, so it can be physical weathering like freeze-thaw action. You learnt about that last lesson. It can be chemical, so it could be acid rain dissolving the rock. It can be biological, so it could be tree roots. Now what all of those things do is they take a rock and they break it up into little bits of rock, but it's all still there. So weathering breaks up rock in situ. It's a funny word, in situ. It just means where it is. Okay, so that is weathering, and that is what you learnt about last lesson. But what I want you to think about now is something called erosion. So you've just been watching a video about this and you've just filled in a table, and I'm going to ask you to draw erosion, but I just want to make sure we really get what that means, and the picture at the top of this sheet should help you. So erosion is when rock is eaten away. So here the rock that used to be there is still there, it's just all in little bits. It's been broken up by frost shattering, freeze-thaw action, or tree roots or whatever. But with erosion you might have a piece of rock like this, and then it might be like that, and then it might end up with a hole through the middle or whatever. So it's not there anymore. Okay, so there are, you've been learning, four types of erosion. 3 of them are on the spec. So hydraulic action. So if I just draw, say this is a cliff, and in comes a big old wave like this. So the wave's coming in this way, and it's a big wave, it's a stormy day, it's slamming in. Now if that there is a crack in the cliff, as the video said, if the water hits there, it pushes air into the crack there, and that creates pressure here, and it exerts a force. And if that's a big wave, it will be a big pressure, and it's likely that that crack will just get a bit bigger as it forces the rock apart a little bit. So when you're drawing a picture of hydraulic action or hydraulic power, either of those phrases is fine, hydraulic power or hydraulic action, this is what you're going to draw. The wave comes in and it pushes the air in, and it exerts these pressure, and over time the rock will fall apart, as you saw in the video. Now let's imagine we've got another cliff, and this time in comes our wave and it smashes into the cliff, and it's not just water. So if I threw a bucket of water over you, you would not be happy. If I threw a bucket of water over you that was containing lots and lots of little bits of rock, sand and gravel, you would be even less happy, because you probably would be injured. And sorry, it's a horrible way of putting it, but it does help you to understand that as this wave hits, because it has these little bits of rock in it, it starts to break up and erode the cliff, because it's got ammunition in there, and that is abrasion. Right, attrition. So if we're at the bottom of the cliff in the sea, and there are some rocks moving around in the water like in a washing machine, and they're bumping into each other. So they're bumping into each other. As they do that, they break off and they get smaller and rounder. So you can start off with some quite angular bits of rock, and by the end of it, they're very small, round sand. So those big bits of rock, and it happens because of abrasion, and it's all happening underwater. So that's abrasion. Oh, I do apologise. It's not at all. It's attrition. Attrition. Okay, A-T-T-R-I-T-I-O-N. Attrition. And last but not least, there is solution. And this is the point at which, if we have the sea water here, say against the cliff, if the seawater is acidic and this cliff, the rock material, is limestone and it's a bit alkali, little bits of it will be dissolved away, and over time it will change shape. Okay, so we have hydraulic power or action when the wave smashes in. We have abrasion, where the waves carrying material smash against the cliff causing damage. We have attrition, where the rocks are knocking together, and we have solution.